Good morning. The offensive in Ukraine appears to have stalled. Turkey is reeling from continued earthquakes. More high-altitude craft are shot down, and we believe maybe even a fifth as of this morning. Trump's legal troubles continue to grow, and Sarah Palin purportedly called NORAD to say that she could see a Chinese spy satellite from her house, prompting Congressman George Santos to explain that he personally shot down all of the Chinese weather balloons in an F-22 that he made in his backyard with toothpicks, duct tape, and melted down Lugers of the 300 Nazis, which he personally killed wielding Molinier at the Battle of Waterloo during 9/11. It's February 13th, 2023, and this is the rundown. Good morning. The United States has shot down a fourth unidentified craft over North America, or we believe possibly even a fifth as of today. We got a report on it, but we haven't confirmed that. And there's a lot of speculation and rumor flying about. The first aircraft was identified as a Chinese weather balloon, a spy balloon. The Chinese have denied it, but U.S. intelligence is really rather confident. It was engineered for surveillance over the U.S. This has naturally led to conclusions that all of the other craft are similar balloons. That has not yet been confirmed, actually. We don't know what the other craft were. We do know that several reports from individuals in Congress coming out of the U.S. seem to suggest that they were not, in fact, identical weather balloons. There's been sort of conflicting accounts from individuals, none from the government as a whole. The second was described as a, quote, long cylindrical object, which was shot down in Canada by an American fighter jet acting on behalf of, or at the behest, of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand declined to speculate as to what the object was or where it came from. She did say that it was cylindrical in shape and not at all a weather balloon of any kind, but it was, while being smaller than the Chinese balloon that had been shot down off of South Carolina's coast earlier, it was similar. All right. So it's a little amazing that the Canadian Defense Minister seems to be suggesting that it did not resemble a weather balloon, except for the ways in which it resembled a weather balloon. So that was her. And then the Russian advance. Okay, no one. Okay, let's. I think we had gotten to the Russian advance. They had previously not encircled, but were threatening to cut off supplies in Bakhmut, and have not made any progress in a week, and in what was touted to be and expected to be a massive Russian offensive. It appears to have stalled. We believe they've lost at least 60 tanks and more than 2,000 men in the last 2 days alone. Further, we believe that they have lost more than half of their roughly 3,000 operational tanks. Now, this is not tanks that they brought to the field. This is operational tanks that they own. They own only about 3,000 operational tanks. They have many more tanks, but we've discussed this with Commander McMillan, that they didn't really care for these in any way whatsoever, and most of them are rusted blocks of steel that can't be moved at this point. So we believe they have about 3,000 operational tanks total. They've claimed as many as 4,000. Either way, at this point, we have, it's been confirmed that about 1,000 of them have been destroyed, and 544 of them have been captured by Ukrainian forces. So depending on what the actual number is, that's half or slightly over half of all of their tanks have now been destroyed. Meanwhile, the U.S. today has told people that has advised all Americans to get out of Russia immediately due to the threat of harassment and or arbitrary arrest in retaliation for the U.S.'s role in aiding Ukraine. Turkey, meanwhile, continues to suffer, and we get more footage of collapsing buildings and mass devastation. We will be showing some of that in just a few minutes. The deaths now are easily into the tens of thousands, and rescue efforts are being hampered by continuing aftershocks. The fault line, it's the fault between Ǩarmānamaras and Maltai has reportedly fractured, which is causing these severe earthquakes. The last time there was an earthquake of this nature and magnitude was actually in 1513, over 500 years ago. President Trump's legal team continues to turn over more classified material to federal prosecutors, including a laptop and an empty folder marked classified evening briefing, which, according to Trump's attorney, he had been using to block the light on his phone, which had been keeping him up at night. Yeah, there were previously undisclosed turnovers as well, and it suggests that the Justice Department is continuing to seek and recover even more classified information from the former president. Former Vice President Mike Pence has now been subpoenaed by the special counsel investigating Trump's effort to stay in office past the 2020 election, and his role in the January 6th attack in the Capitol. Trump is fighting the subpoena on the grounds of executive privilege. Special counsel Jack Smith has already subpoenaed local officials in key presidential swing states for any and all communications involving Trump, his campaign, Giuliani, and any number of aides and allies who assisted in the effort to overturn the 2020 election. Meanwhile, all of Twitter went down on Wednesday. Engineers attempting to find the source of the problem discovered that they did it to themselves. On Wednesday, API access was disabled for non-paying customers. However, they failed to recognize that this is the same set of APIs that are tied to first-party tweets. And when they disabled the analytics and trending access to non-paying customers, they disabled all of Twitter for everyone. Elon Musk continues to bat 1,000. Well, actually, let's do the chemical spill. The chemical spill in Palestine, Ohio, is something that we've been covering for quite a while. It took a turn for the worse. Presumably, it is now better. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. This was the fire from the chemical spill. It was, at the time, reported to be 100 tankers that had derailed and struck a gas station. Of all things, the tankers had chlorine gas, and it turned out some of them had a vinyl chloride in them. Many of these things produce chemical weapons, believe it or not, when burned. So there was a mandatory evacuation for 1 mile. One of the tankers, one of the 4 tankers containing vinyl chloride, started to heat up and reached the point where an explosion was imminent. They opted for a controlled release of the gas. And at the time that they were decided to do this, there was an explosion. It's unclear if this was the controlled release or an explosion that occurred right before they were attempting to do it. This is that explosion and subsequent fire. Now, that plume of gas continued for quite some time. Apparently, it has been cleared, and residents were allowed back several days ago. Everything is purportedly safe. They've been testing the water in Ohio and specifically in Cincinnati. They've found no traces of chemicals as far downriver as Cincinnati, but they are detecting what they claim are safe levels of contaminants coming from this fire and explosion in the river, and they are saying that everything's safe. There is no evidence that they are lying. Having said that, obviously people are concerned, and people don't necessarily trust that this is the truth. So this is another, we're waiting. We've seen a lot of reports on Twitter of some interesting phenomenon, but it's very hard to discern what's real and what's not. So this is another one we're going to be keeping an eye on, but so far, the residents that have returned have seemed to be okay in that area. Long-term effects, I think, is something that we're going to be looking into for a while. The gas is a heavy gas, and it makes it easy to roll down hills and into trenches. It killed, if I recall, 70,000 people with it in World War I. It does, however, dissipate reasonably quickly, which is advantageous as well, because it means your own troops can go into the areas where it's been deployed and do so safely. So ostensibly, it is entirely possible that this is a safe area, but there are a lot of chemicals there, and everybody's looking into it. We don't know. There have been reports of dead livestock. We've been unable to confirm that, and also at this point, my suspicion is that the livestock have been left behind. It's not that they left with the livestock and then brought it back, and there was a reason they had to evacuate. They evacuated because it wasn't safe at the time. So, again, we're going to stay on that, but that was interesting. In 2017, Missouri. Missouri? Are we sure about that? But it says Missouri. Well, yeah, I know. Not Texas? You sure? It sounds like Texas. This is a Texas thing. Is Missouri? Okay. Missouri passed a law allowing all residents to carry a concealed weapon without a permit. All residents to carry a concealed weapon without a permit, safety training, or criminal background check, regardless of age, including minors as young as 1 day. And to openly carry a gun, this has to be Texas. Really? Well, Texas has some competition for the most dumbass state in the union. Apologies. To openly carry a gun without a permit or without adult supervision. St. Charles Wall, spokesman for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, has gone on the record as saying, quote, under current state law, there is no minimum age to lawfully possess a firearm. That law was vetoed by then-Governor Jay Nixon, and the veto was overridden by the Missouri legislature. On Wednesday, a new bill came to the Missouri House of Representatives to amend the 2017 law to say that, in fact, there should be a minimum age to have a gun unsupervised without parents. Not that, to have a gun. You could still have a gun at 4 years old. You just have to be supervised. The bill failed by a vote of 104 to 39. Meanwhile, in Wyoming, okay, this is Texas. This has to be Texas. It's Wyoming. It's really Wyoming. Texas is getting a free pass this week. In Texas, okay, it's Wyoming. Okay, in Wyoming, a bill banning residents from marrying anyone under the age of 16 and requiring that anyone under the age of 18 receive written consent from their parents before marrying, passed the House of Representatives 36 to 25. My cup runneth over. However, the Wyoming Republican Party is seeking to kill the bill on the grounds of religious liberty. And Wyoming, it's not Texas. Okay. Wyoming is one of just 8 states in the country which do not have a minimum age requirement, including California, Michigan, Mississippi, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Washington, and West Virginia. It currently ranks among the top 10 states in the country for all child marriages, according to a 2021 study. The, quote, He Gets Us campaign, sponsored by evangelical churches, kicked off the Super Bowl yesterday with 2 ads running during the game, running at an estimated $100 million. The ads paint Jesus as an immigrant, a refugee, a radical, and an advocate for the rights of minorities and women, an opponent of injustice and an opponent of government corruption. It ended with the message, whatever you are facing, Jesus faced it too. Hobby Law co-founder David Green, a major donor to the campaign, purportedly believes in the radical pro-right message of Jesus while supporting Marco Rubio for president. The Servant Foundation, a parent company to the He Gets Us campaign, has also been staunchly behind Jesus as a humanitarian radical while donating millions of dollars to the Alliance Defense Fund, a legal group which has amongst its core, apologies here, amongst its what it's most known for is attempting to limit LGBTQ rights and a challenge to anti-discrimination suits in the Supreme Court, including fighting for the right of religious people to discriminate against those with lifestyles contrary to their beliefs. It seems that Jesus was indeed a radical by defending the establishment and making the world safe for cis white men. Leonardo Mathis de Novas, a Brazilian lawyer and fierce advocate for gun ownership, who spent his time defending gun rights specifically, of citizens and advocating for gun ownership on TikTok, has died. He was escorting his mother to get an MRI at a diagnostic lab. He and his mother were warned to remove all metallic objects before approaching the MRI. This includes earrings, belts, watches, loose change, fillings, older fillings, which can be dangerous around an MRI. They did so and signed a waiver claiming that they had removed all metal from their persons. However, De Novas failed to remove his concealed firearm. When the MRI was turned on, the gun was pulled from his waistband, discharged, and struck him in the stomach. He died from his wounds 2 days later. His family has hired a lawyer and says they intend to sue the lab for negligence and wrongful death for allowing him to enter with a concealed weapon. That is the rundown. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to show a couple of clips and catch up on things. Once again, apologies for the earlier sound issues. We also have, in about an hour, 90 minutes, we are going to have Mars from the Memorial for the International Defenders of Ukraine. He is going to be discussing why people join the Foreign Legion, which there are many ways to volunteer. Volunteering to fight on the front lines and doing so by paying your own money to fly over and getting your own weapons, your own equipment, and fighting on the front lines against Russia strikes me as an interesting occupation. So we're going to be discussing with him what compels people to do these kinds of things, as he is in fact preparing to return to Ukraine himself. What challenges the Foreign Legion faces, both while they're in Ukraine and when returning home, and what happens when these people succumb to their injuries on the battlefield, and how that is dealt with by the Ukrainian government and the families and governments of these soldiers. So that will be discussed in about 90 minutes. I hope you will join us for that. If you make sure to ring the bell so that you get your notifications, I think that would make it a lot easier, and you can make sure you won't forget. This is the fault in Turkey that appears to have fractured. It's the main red one across there. As you can see, it's extraordinarily large and has not suffered a fracture of this nature in over 500 years. This is an example of just some of the damage. You can see on the left what the castle looked like just, I think that shot was from about 6 months ago, and what it looks like now. This footage here is of the devastation in general. And we have a report from an Al Jazeera news crew who were reporting on the original earthquake when another one struck.
Binalardan uzak bir noktada toplanma alanlarında vatandaşlarla birlikteyiz. Şu an herkes yine telefonlara
Herkes buraya gel.
güvenli alana geçiyoruz bizler.
Keep an eye on the building on the right.
Deprem oluyor gene. Gel. Sakin ol. Arkadaşlar. Evet şu an.
Unfortunately, they don't have. It's the international. Yes, it is the internet. Apologies. The Foreign Legion is the French. Yeah, that is. Thank you for the correction. It's the International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine. Yeah, I have to watch myself. I keep making that mistake. Thank you for the correction. Now, the region is reasonably. Hold on a second.
Koşun. Allahu Ekber.
So, yeah, none of these are modern constructions that would enable them to withstand a significant earthquake. No fault of their own. You know, it's countries are limited in what they can build. It's obviously a humanitarian crisis, so it's something we're going to be following as well. We're following that on our Discord, as well as obviously what's going on in Russia and any other news for the rest of the day. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in about 90 minutes when we discuss the International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine and the memorial for that with one of the international fighters, Maurice, as he comes to talk to us about his work and what it's like in Ukraine right now with the foreign fighters. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you then. Have a good night.